Well, hello good folks of the internet. Today I am carrying on and possibly completing, you never know, the Detective Notes challenge. Here are the things I still want the program to be able to do, and these are left over from last week. I still want to be able to add the checks so that if anyone... I still want to be able to add checks to see if anybody has all of their cards already known. Because if we know what all their cards are already, then we can mark all of the rest of their cards as false, and that will save us some work later on. Also, I want to know, I want to be able to highlight the card that we know for certain it is. There are two ways of knowing for sure what a card is. One is knowing that nobody has it, and the other is knowing that everybody else's cards is knowing, I think it's just knowing that nobody has it, actually. Or it's knowing all of the other cards in that set. That's right, knowing somebody has all of the other cards in that set. And when we know what all the cards are, I want to make an alert and say, hey, we found the answer. What I'd like to do at some point is have a game where actually all of that table is somehow hidden, and all this thing gets is the Who Suspects Something menu. And it keeps the table hidden until it solves it, and then you can play a live game of Cluedo with real people. But every turn you have to say who suspects something and who answers, and that's all you have to say: who suspects what and who answers. And then the game will, you're playing against this guy who will solve it. If he solves it first, then everybody loses. Maybe we'll call him Poirot or something like that. So this would be an extension to Cluedo that I think would be quite a fun addition. That was an idea courtesy of my brother Simeon, so thank you to him. Making progress. Let's get this thing moving. Where am I? This window. Click a bit harder. So, as usual, just a quick peek at, let's have a quick peek at the actual window, what it does. So when you get a new game, currently you get a choice. You can write the names of your players: Dave, Bob. I don't think it works very well with at least 3 players. And then you can change the names of the cards as well. So instead of having white, we can have Blanca. And then when we begin the game, the cards are there. We've got Scarlet, Blanca and Mustard. Dave, Bob and Alice are playing, and if I say Dave suspects Mustard with the lead pipe in the billiard room, and Bob and Alice both say no, they don't have it, then you tick Dave as the responder, and we know that both of these guys don't have that card. That's basically what it works like now. So, time to carry on. We're going to add the card counting method, and the first thing we need to know to do that is who has the first card in the deal. When you deal out cards, obviously all the cards go around the circle. There are 3 less cards in total than the total number of cards, and these deal round, so every player gets a certain number of cards based on their position in the row. So the first person dealt cards will get the most cards, and somewhere along the line there will be less cards. So I need to do a dealing out and knowing how many cards everybody has. Starting with one of the players. And how do I choose which player? I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a star in front of the name who's getting the first card. I can't be the first card, because most people will want to put their name first so they can see around the circle how it's going. But so where are we? That is the other option, of course, the first person starting with the left of the dealer. That would mean less changes. We'll do that. I think we'll just use, so when you write the order, you don't start with, no, the reason I wanted to be able to start with your name is because you want to have your left column as the column of stuff I have, and I don't know, whenever I'm making detective notes, I always have a left column for the stuff I have. So that's why I'm going to put the star for whoever was dealt first. To do that, we need to have our reader, that's a new game, that's our function. and we read in the names. So this is where, that's new game dialog. Okay. Next new game. Here's our actual function, new game. So we read in the names. Where's that list? For I. Here we go. plist split value split n. The game players is so that's all their cards that they get. The game.n cards. Okay. And where is our actual numbers array? Players I equals names. Okay. So we have the game.names is where we receive all of the names from the lines. So I'm going to do a quick run through the game.names. I equals 0. I is less than m players I plus plus. You know what, that's exactly the same as this loop we've got down here. It's just something else we can do in here. So the game.players, if, so we need a variable dealt first. Oop. Var d first equals 0. We'll assume it's player 0 if we don't get anyone else. If m players I, no, it's the game.names now. The game.names I at character 0 is equal to a star. Then you can tell I've been writing in Golang more recently, right? There's the brackets I forgot to put down. Right. I guess that could be a Python thing, but then I might accidentally stick a colon. So if the game.names I 0 is equal to star, then d first equals I. Right, so whoever's dealt first is discovered at this point. And then the other thing we need to do is actually remove that star, don't we? So the game.names I equals the game.names I plus, maybe we can make this, move that more that way. This doesn't need to be this wide. Give me a bit more reading space for my code. Go there. No, it's not plus. Substring? Let's have a quick peek actually. JS substring. That's probably just a check, isn't it? Indexing. The substring method returns a subset of a string between one index and another true to the end of the string. So the end index is not necessarily needed, the start index is definitely needed. I think I can just put substring 1 and get the answer I need. Oh. Substring 1. So, and when we create our random thing in this area, we can now add, well, if we put a star in front of player 1, and that's saying he was dealt first, he will have the most cards. So let's do a quick, stick a console log on D first at the end of the loop. And then we go back to our page, refresh, new game. So star P1, star P2, star P3. If I move that star to here, begin the game, Control Shift I, we should be able to see in the console, reference D first is not defined. Where did I put that console log? Did I just call it the wrong name? Right, try again. New game. Move that star to P2. Begin. D first is 1, so that's good. That's what it should be. I'm gonna need an array of card count, aren't I? So, and this will need to happen here. It needs to happen after I've worked out who the first player is. And this is hideously lazy. I'm sure we can calculate it more efficiently, but CC CC equals an empty array. Put that here, and we'll call it no. And in here we can do cc dot push 0. And in theory now we can loop through that array. So we'll need, yeah, this is doable. Okay, so for var I equals, have we worked out how many cards we've got? Because I can't do this until I know how many cards we've got. Where did we get the cards? Here. So one of those is the list of all of the cards, and I think that's B cards. B card types is the array where they're already separated. So here is our place to do it. For I equals 0, I is less than B cards dot length minus 3 I plus plus CC at I mod cc dot length. It's not just I though, is it? It's it's not. It's the rotation, which is D first plus I modulated with cc length plus plus, right? And then in theory, we can console log this table. And if we've logged this table, then we'll find out whether we're getting the right results in console.log cc. And if that's correct, then I'll bung it in the game. So Control R, new game. Would be, there's no star there. Oh, of course. That's fine. Well, it's not. It's because we need to refresh the page. So new game. If I begin this way, let's see how many cards we've all got. 0, 0, 0. Oh. Is that not right? B cards. What does B cards actually look like as an array? Oh yeah, it's 3 long, isn't it? B cards. Did I get this the wrong way around? Mildly frustrating, but we can probably find a way around this. Didn't I end up making another array which is just the plain cards? Maybe I never did. Let's have a look through all the game. Oh. I was sure I'd have a list of all of the cards in order. Okay, well we can work out that length, can't we? Through many other means, but the way I think I'm going to have to do it is start by adding together that length. So where was I? Where's my CC? Okay. So I don't think that ever happened. But this is because B card types is actually just the types available, and the cards are all in place, but they're not in a nice tidy array in order because they have to be separated by weapon types. So yes, they do have to be separate. I thought for a second they might not have to be separate, but actually because of the way the questions are asked, there is information in them being separate. So, but we can count them. N cards equals 0. For I equals 0. I is less than B cards dot length I plus plus this isn't actually too hard. N cards plus equals B cards I dot length, because it's an array of arrays and that's how many things we're adding, and then this can then be replaced by N cards. So see 2 words. No, that's close. In cards. I think that will work now. New game. I always think that will work. Still nothing happened. So now the question is, let's get this to log. Console.log I. That loop doesn't seem to be running. Let's find out how big it. For I is less than. New game. Begin. N cards is 0. So what's in B cards then? If it's not an array. If it's not an array of the cards, b cards dot length I plus plus cards I dot length. Okay, I'm just going to have a quick peek at what b cards is, because I'm sure this is supposed to be an array. Console.log cards. That should give me a thing I can look at properly. So new game, begin. Oh, that was my mistake I made last time. You can't use it as you can't use an object where they're all named as an array. Okay, that's fine. We can still work with this though. For I in, is it in range? Does that work? New game. Begin. That's more like it. So with 3 players, they all have 6 cards. Ah. Is that correct? Does that mean we have 18 cards? No, there are 21 cards. 3 go away. That leaves 18 cards, which... So with 4 players, let's see what happens if we have a new game with 4 players. P4. Begin. Now, our end result is 6, 6, 9, 0. No, that's not the answer. 5, 5, 4, 4. So 18 divided by 4 players. Okay. And the next thing I need to check is if I do a new game, and this time there I put the star by player 4. So player 4 has 5 cards, player 1 has 5 cards, player 2 has 4 cards, and player 3 has 4 cards. That's correct. So the star thing works. Good. So now I'm going to, when I output their name in brackets, I'm going to put that with the number of cards. Oh. No, it should be fine if I put it in brackets. It will still be vaguely clear what I mean, I think. Say how many cards everyone has. I'm not quite sure why this has gone blue. I'm sure we can survive that for now. Just trying to remember what I'm trying to do. Player 1, player 2, player 3, player 4, they all have a number of cards, and I'm just going to run through when I display the buttons. Make options, right? That's our method. Next. So that's the string. That's the first one. Make options. Who suspects something? The game names. So that would mean making another array to send into the options thing. I feel like I should display it though. It's trying to get the information out in a way that's tidy for people. And if this is the place to make the array, but I think there are two places where I want to make this array. Now this is a function that could plausibly be done as a function, and probably a pure function. Here's the problem. I want to add the names to the number of cards, and I think that this function can actually be done in such a way that it looks that it's a pure function, that I create a new array from two old arrays by merging them together, because we've got an array with the number of cards and an array with the thing. And this might be a usable function elsewhere. So if I write it nicely, and I can write it nicely, it makes as much sense to write nicely as anything else. So, function merge string arrays. A1, A2. To do this better, we could actually use take in multiple arrays, but for now that's going to be, I was trying to work out what its return type was, but I don't need to know that in JavaScript just yet. It's going to be an array, of course, isn't it? So res equals 0. No, res equals an empty array, right? Should probably say that that's a variable or a local variable. Fun. Then for I, this could be a problem. Again, var I equals 0. I is less than, and just to avoid any fights, I is less than math.min a1.length a2.length semicolon I plus plus. I might actually put another variable out here because we don't want to have to do that too many times. Min len equals a math dot min a1 dot length a2 dot At some point, I'll probably just take an array of arrays. Or that's not really worth it right now. I just feel like I don't want this to be processed that many times. So d2 semicolon min len. So if I is less than equals 0, I is, so let's say res dot push a1 at I plus a2 at I. That would be another good option to include in this function, wouldn't it? Would be whatever you want to join them with. Return res. Okay, so if that's correct, the place where we call the draw options, we can now use the merged function and just send that directly. Make options. No. The game.names. This is now the one. I merge. What did I call that function? Arrays. Merge string arrays. Probably. The game.names. The game. Oh, I never did actually put CC somewhere sensible. Card count. Counts. And the next thing I'm looking for is that CC to make sure I do actually save it. So instead of console.log, the game dot card counts equals CC. So Control R. New game, put the star by. Here's an odd thing. Actually, player 2 should win this, shouldn't they? If we do this, because they'll be the first player. So that's the one place. So maybe we'll see it this time. White, dagger, library. Nope, this array has not been merged. There we go. So player 2 and player 3 have 5 cards. That merge is not quite how I like it. There are some things I can do to make that tidier. I think I probably will make that. I mean, the quick hack is to stick the bracket on and the space, and then I'm stuck to using it in this place. And I think that's actually more appropriate because this is just a small project. But at some point, I think that this might be a function that I'm going to end up writing to use a bit more. So here's our merge strings thing. So quick hack, stick a bracket on there, I plus. And if I find I need this function for some other purpose, then I will come in and I will edit this function. So that I can include an array as the thing I send, and in order. They can either be an array themselves, or they can be a string, and that string will guarantee how they merge. Shouldn't actually be that hard to write, but that was definitely quicker to write. Next thing is actually to work out all the places where I have the word suspects. Oh, suspect and response. Those are our key words to find. Suspect. Who suspects something? This is definitely one of them. So it's merge string arrays. Open bracket. Comma. The game dot card counts. Next suspects. Nope, that's not one of them. That one's already marked. This one might be. Make options. I think this is one of them. I think there's... No, I've done 3 now, haven't I? That's right. Okay, so Control R. There are definitely at least 3 places. So we do that. Begin. New game. Begin. Oh, something has gone wrong. A2 is undefined. That means I've sent something empty to the option maker. Probably means in new game. Which one's the one in new game? It's probably the card select. New game. We have the thing that makes this. That's a problem. Now, why did I put that down so low? Was there something else I needed to know? Yeah, this can definitely move down. should at least clear out that problem. So if I begin, Control R, new game, begin. There you go. So all of them have 6 cards. So that's correct. So if I go new game, if I put a star by a player 4 here, star Bob, and we should have 5, 5, 2, 4, 4. So we know how many cards everybody has. Who thought that would be so much trouble? Knowing how many cards people have will of course help us to work out when do we do this check. Calculate table. Let's have a look at calculate table. So that's the setup. Here's the has learned. I think we let this array run through once. Sets it to false, but there is an opportunity here. So for each player, we then count how many trues they have at the end of this. And if they have all of their cards, we then have to somehow mark all of the other cards as false. That's actually going to be a bit trickier because the organization, everybody's got their cards, their card names are all hard to grab, but they're not impossible, so we can do that. So first, for I equals 0, I is less than the game dot players dot length there. Oh, I plus plus. Don't forget that I plus plus. Although I don't think it would have been a I think it would have I don't think it would have looped forever, because I think it would have complained before that for the lack of a semicolon. So we're working through the players, then we're going to have a count inside that for, okay, so we're going to count trues. Trues equals 0 for C in the game dot players dot it's not the game dot players I CP, that's current player, equals the game dot players I. Trues equals 0. this can now be in CP. And that loop goes here. C if CP at C is greater than 0. Remember, all our trues were actually the ones where it's now stored as -2 to 2. If CP at C is greater than 0, then our trues increases. Trues plus plus. If trues is, we'll go with greater than or equal, but it should just be equal. If trues is greater than or equal to the game dot card counts this was a mistake I made fairly early on, actually, was not to treat players as objects. I think if I'd made each player an object which had an array of cards. But when I was making this at the beginning, I wasn't expecting it to be quite such a big project. That would take some refactoring now, and I'm thinking I'm on the last 2 weeks, so I probably won't do it. But if you want to do the refactoring, tidy it up, go ahead. I'm going to keep it all posted on the right place. The game.card counts, and the number for that is I. Then we need a counter. We need an undefined count. No, we don't. But we do need a variable here. We do need set equals false. And here we are starting to get a little bit far from the left for my liking, which is starting to make me want to put this in another function. So what we need to do now is we need to loop through all of the cards and ask if the player has them. If the player doesn't have them, we can say at this point we're marking. This is actually a function called mark. Yeah, let's make it another function. This function is false player remaining. And realistically, it just takes a player number, doesn't it? N. pnum. And let's try and get a better habit. Right. Falsify all remaining cards for a player if it sets any cards, return true, else false. So now we need to go through all of the cards in the game. So it's a double for loop just to do this. For P in B cards, for I in equals 0. I is less than B cards dot P dot length I plus plus if PL equals the game. Actually, we'll take the player directly. There. So player, if player at oh dear, I am going to make sure their C name, that's the card name, equals B cards at P I. If the player at C name equals undefined, that's really the only context we want to falsify. Res equals false. Res equals true in here, and player C name equals, it's a learned one, so we go with -1. Learned false. Asserted false is -2, learned false is -1. Undefined means we haven't got anything yet. 1 is learned true and 2 is asserted true. That's that's just how I've organised it. I don't think that was the best way either. I think probably the better way would have been to have a separate array. And then I could have done more with pure functions. We live and learn. I mean, all of programming is learning, isn't it? And try something, you do it slightly wrong, and next time you come to the same problem, you think, oh, last time I did this slightly wrong, and this time I'm going to do it better. Here's where we were working. Has learned equals came. No, what was our function? Falsify? Was it falsify? Layer remaining. Something like that. And it's going to be sending the player CP. Or has learned. So the point where we actually find all of someone's cards, this probably will slow down the operation a little bit, but oh, undo that. So that's still in that loop. So the OR here is, of course, to say if the left side is true, then even if Hasland is false, we want it to be true. But if the right side is, yeah, it basically means if either of those two are true, we're going to end up with a true. So that's why. Now let's just check it's falsify. Falsify. Next. No, there is no other falsify. Okay, let's try searching for the word remain. I'm going to change this to falsify. Falsify player remaining. Okay. There you go. They say the same thing now. That's good. So in theory, if I come over here, refresh, new game, we'll add another player, we'll set them all. Andy, Bob, Cecile, Star, Dave. Click begin. So Bob and Cecil have 4 cards. So if now I do Bob, I give you a true here. True here. Oh, that was supposed to be a left click. True. A true here. And one more true here. Hey, would you look at that? That's what I was hoping for. He said, well, we know he doesn't have any of the other cards. And that should save us a whole lot of work. So I think that is a success for today, and I'm going to call it there. Remember not to forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell me how you would have done it better. See you soon.